Welcome to another episode of the Sound Sister Podcast. I'm your host with the most, Drea Doll, and I'm here with my lovely ladies. Say hello, ladies.
Hello, it's Angela Rose Red.
Gabby Chaos.
On this episode, we're going to be talking to radio personality Craven Moorehead. You might remember him from the old school radio station called 103.9 The Edge. Currently, he's on 98 KUPD. He's also a drummer, a realtor, and we're just going to talk to him about what it's like to be an online personality, talking to, the big bands, the ones that are played on the radio, and how does one do that for a living, and just kind of, I think it's a cool job.
Definitely. Yeah, his overall resume is pretty impressive.
Yeah. I think he a while ago, I think he posted like an old school picture of him and Green Day, like the first time he met Green Day at Warped Tour or something like that.
That's crazy.
We can only dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember just like meeting him, and Rico was like, "Yeah, Craven's behind you," and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, just listen to the voice." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's it."
No, yeah, I think I've met him just because of like being in the punk scene or whatever, and we actually got to go on 98 KUPD. And he interviewed us, and honestly, it was like an out-of-body experience when it happened. Like having him ask us questions, and I remember answering them, but it happened so fast. Like I don't remember what I said, and after I was like, I hope I didn't sound like a dork. So, but yeah, we're gonna be talking to him, and I'm looking forward to that. Let's go ahead and do a roundtable. Angela, what's going on? Haven't seen you in a bit. So
I know.
What's going on, dude?
It's been a while. Not much. Just, calming down for the holidays. Didn't do too much as far as Halloween-wise, except watch a lot of scary movies, just kind of chilled. But we did practice and celebrated an important holiday around that time. Just a little bit background for those of you who don't know. I am the whitey of the group. I'm Caucasian. And stay with me. There's a whole story of why I'm bringing this up. So growing up, I grew up in Mesa. I literally there was a lot of Mexican-American, Hispanic culture around me. And I honestly, for a long time, didn't think that Hispanic people were another race. I just thought they were really tanned. For real.
Oh, okay.
That's how I grew up, because it was just such a natural thing to me. And I grew up in, that you just love everyone.
Right.
And also my niece and nephew, they're Mexican-American. Their mom, she's from Mexico. And then my husband, he's Mexican and Puerto Rican. So the reason why I'm bringing all of this up is we decided we've had some people pass, and we're going to, for the first time, start incorporating into our family traditions to celebrate Day of the Dead. Now, because I'm very pasty, I'm going to have my lovely Hispanic Latin ladies over here help me translate into what you're supposed to say. So we celebrated Day of the Dead, Gabby.
Dia de los Muertos.
And we put up a shrine, and it's also called
Ofrenda.
Thank you, Drea. But no, it was really great because Rico, he's an amazing cook. He cooked food, so he cooked some of his Nana's food, which I never got a chance to meet her at all. And we told stories. We had a remembrance table at our wedding, so we had a lot of pictures that were already framed of people that had passed on.
That's awesome.
And so we put up different things that they, like my grandfather, there was like a cookie jar that was handed down to me, and I remember getting Oreo cookies from that cookie jar, and we filled it with that, lit some candles, told stories. But one of the other things that we ended up doing was playing music because we have a very musical family, and our household's very musical. And so we listened to Richie Valens for Rico's Tata. No. Wow, I white girled that. But his uncle, what is that?
Theo.
Thank you. Yeah. And we listened to that because he was a musician too. So Enrico's the other musician, and everyone looks at him kind of to fill that void. And then we also listened to Elvis who was like my mom's sister, Carol. Amazing. She was an amazing woman who died just this past year. And then we also listened to Glenn Miller. And then another one was Pink Floyd, which I will quickly tell you a great musical story about Pink Floyd, because my uncle, I was there when he passed away, very important person to me. He was, when I was younger, we connected on music, and he gave me a lot of his CDs to listen to. So like in the 90s, Garbage, Alice in Chains, Dirt, other things. But Pink Floyd was always this band that like I knew I loved, but didn't know who it was because I listened to it all my life because of him. And when he passed away, I think I was bartending at Palo. It was like maybe 27. And Roger Waters was coming in town, and he was going to do The Wall. And I really, really wanted to go. And it had just been a few weeks since he passed. And I was like, I need to go to this show. This like is something I really need to go to. $200 tickets, of course.
Ouch.
Couldn't afford it. So I said to myself, you know what? I am going to work tonight and see whatever I make is what maybe I can go to, right? And I was trying to get my douchebag ex-boyfriend at the time to go with me. And he couldn't go. And so I was trying to figure out all this stuff. So the Palo, some nights I brought it. You got a lot of money, but it's luck of the draw. And other nights, like you go home with like maybe $60, you know? So I made exactly that night enough for a ticket, money for parking. I got some drinks and a nachos. and I went to my first big concert by myself. Oh. And I saw Roger Waters, the Wall, and I was by myself, and my uncle was definitely there. So that was one of the many cool stories that Rico and I shared when we were celebrating.
Dia de los Muertos.
Yes. So, but, we also got a chance to paint, like, we got flowers, we painted, like, the terracotta pots. Like, we definitely did it up. But one of the crazy things was when he was cooking, his Nana was always known for being in the kitchen. Like, it was her way of showing love, and it was a big, big deal. Because, food, the whole meals was, like, an event. And some noises or movement in our cupboards that were unexpected kind of happened while he was cooking. And he said, I didn't hear it. And he's like, he wasn't scared. He's like, all he said was, Nana's here. But it was great. We definitely had a wonderful time sharing those stories and eating great food and remembering our loved ones. So we're definitely going to do it every year.
That's
cool.
That's beautiful, dude. I love that.
It was awesome, and it was such a great moment for the two of us to share. And we shared with our dog. We even put up his mom's dog Gizmo, a picture of him because he was part of the family, and so we had one of his chew toys up there, and and Barnabas was there chilling because he kind of has little isms like Gizmo. So it was just crazy. It was amazing. It was beautiful.
That's cool, dude. Yeah, no, growing up Mexican American, we never, implemented Dia de los Muertos.
Yeah,
but I once I got to middle school, I learned about the holiday, and I feel like just with Coco and everything like that, a lot of more Mexican American families are trying to follow this tradition.
Yeah.
We didn't have an ofrenda up or anything, but we have Jasper's picture up in the living room on the coffee table, and funny that you say he heard kind of bumps and noises in the kitchen while cooking. The other night, I think it was Thursday night, Dave, it's from 31st to the 2nd, the holiday. And so me and Mom are chilling there and eating dinner, and my cat, to get my attention, he wouldn't meow at me, but he would like make squeaks or whatever. And we're chilling there, and I swear to you, dude, for whatever reason, like me and her heard it. It sounded like he was there, like in the corner of where we were, and I swear I heard like a little like squeak of him like trying to like talk to us.
Oh wow!
So I like looked at her and I was like, "Did you hear that?" And Mom was like, "Yeah," but she was like, "I think it's probably just Ozzy," and I was like, "Ozzy's by the front door looking out the door right now," and the dog's under the coffee table, so no animal was over here.
All right.
And I was like, it sounded like Jasper, and she was like, yeah, it did. And so she was like, you better put him some wet food out. So I did. I got a couple of cans of wet food and some treats, and like I put it by his picture, and that was just kind of like our little like small ofrenda for him. It's
beautiful.
So
it can be small or big.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just something about like
that time.
Trying to implement the holiday. It's never too late to start those kind of traditions in your family. So that's cool, dude. I like that.
Yeah, it was cool. We even put out like plates and everything, like offerings and stuff for the different foods, for his Nana and Tata.
Yeah.
I'm so pasty. But it's interesting though, because growing up and mainly, his Hispanic culture, like I embraced it a lot, but it was hard because growing up I got made fun of for being white a lot. So so I had the exact opposite, so I'm very, very fortunate for, being exposed to many different cultures and having that acceptance. So.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, I never really celebrated that day either.
Yeah.
So maybe I
And
will.
you're from Mexico.
I know.
so-
I don't. My family never really did it.
Yeah.
Not enough dead people, I guess. I don't know about it yet.
I think it just depends on what part of Mexico.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Gabby, what's going on with you?
Not a lot. I don't remember the last time I saw you guys. It's been a while. Let's see. Birthday passed. Went to San Diego. Scallywag. That was fun. And now I'm here.
It looked like more than fun. You were having a blast. What was the highlight of Scallywag?
Man, it was so long. A couple weeks ago. The Interrupters killed it, like always.
Yeah.
And I don't remember much about it.
Yeah.
It was fun.
That's cool. I saw you tasting they had little beers or what
Yeah, it was
the
like
deal with
taste. They
that?
had like over 300 beers there to taste, but I'm not really a big beer drinker, so I just
Right.
had one, and that was it.
And you could get the
Yeah.
cool little souvenir.
Yeah,
glass
that's
thing.
really what I wanted. Was
Yeah,
the little
that's
cup.
why you get it. Like it's all about the.
Yeah, I think the most fun was riding scooters, those electric scooters.
Those are fun.
They were fun.
Yes.
Rode that on through the whole Mission Beach, and
Oh,
then
cool.
before coming home, so that was really fun.
Nice beach wave.
Yeah, I had a
Vibes.
good couple weeks.
Yeah. We're gonna have a California Sound Sister road trip here pretty soon.
Fuck yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
It'll be good.
Yeah.
Hitting the road. So what do you got going, Andrea?
So I just got back from Surf City Blitz last weekend, and it was a really good festival. Went out there and also went to Universal Studios. Finally got to experience the Harry Potter
Expelliarmus!
Harry Potter land. It was Thursday, so the park was kind of empty. There were people there, but it wasn't
cool.
like ridiculously crazy. So I got to ride
Nice.
the Harry Potter ride a couple of times and just
So
experience
jelly
it.
of your trip.
Yes.
So cool.
It was cool. I definitely recommend going out there and just going to Universal and getting the whole tour of the back lot portion of the experience and seeing where they filmed some of your favorite TV shows and movies and just the history behind it.
Yeah.
The Hitchcock building's still there. and
Oh,
they-
is it? I was going to ask.
still
'Cause
there
I
and-
thought for some reason they were going to tear it down, like the Bates Motel. There
No,
was talks
dude,
of that.
that's still there.
Cool.
It's crazy.
They can't tear it down.
Right?
No.
Which that was on our watching list too, is the original Psycho. I mean, every year you
Yeah,
watch
no.
it.
No, man, it's still there. They got to keep that up. Gotta
Right?
keep it up. It's history. You can't tear it down.
Truth.
Friday night, we stayed at the Canterbury Suites, and if you're a punk rock historian and you know your shit, or you know L.A., Hollywood, 70s, 80s punk rock, you know that the Canterbury apartments were just rented out to the Go-Go's, and
So
I
cool.
think Lorna Doom from the Germs lived there at one point. Just a bunch of old school Hollywood punk rockers lived at this apartment complex. So that was one of the reasons we stayed there, was just like kind of
Get the feel.
experience where some of our legends had stayed. And that building was creepy as fuck.
What?
I think it was haunted. I think it was built in the 1920s, and it's got a long history of some kind of
Dude, some crazy punk rockers are probably trying to, haunt you in the middle of the night.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, no punk rocker better try to attach himself to me, like, because we're going to a punk rock festival this weekend. And I don't need that shit. But, that was cool. Went and checked out South Pasadena, and if you're ever in California and have the time, please go do it, because the neighborhood that they shoot a lot of movies in is fucking rad. We got to see Pee-wee's house. We took a picture by the Michael Myers hedge.
Which, BTW, when you sent that out of nowhere through the Facebook message, I'm like, what?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, all I had on me was this stranger's mask. And you're like, what the fuck, man?
So good.
Yeah,
Only you people knew what went on our daily group chats.
So we checked out that neighborhood. Then we went over to the American Horror Story Murder House. And it's Hollywood. And that house looks haunted as fuck. From there, we went to the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. And I feel like we went at a good time because they were decorating for Dia de los Muertos festival that they were going to have. And so we got to see a lot of the decorations and shit. And we were building Johnny Ramon's ofrenda as we were like there. So I took a picture with it.
Oh, that's so cool. We'll have to include all these photos in the gallery.
Yeah. Went to the Beetle House, which is inspired by Tim Burton's movies. That was fucking rad.
I know.
I took Nydia to Jumbo's Clown Room finally. Like, it's something I've been talking about every time I go to LA. I like to go to Jumbo's. Burlesque style strip club, but they never get naked, but it's very tasteless and it's old school, so they go to the jukebox and pick their own songs. And we're talking like rad shit like Nirvana, Joy Division, New Order, Guns N' Roses, like rad shit you actually want to listen to if you're at a strip club.
Right.
Took her there.
And then it's just fancy, tasteful, like sassy dancing, beautiful
movements. It's tasteful, you know. It's sexual, but it's tasteful, and
it's the art of tease, the burlesque. Got it.
Next Saturday, I went to Surf City Blitz. I unfortunately missed Tia Sowell, which I was really bummed about. It was it was a bitch to get there. I came all the way down from Hollywood to Huntington Beach, so we're talking fucking traffic at like 11 to 12. Like, LA's traffic just ridiculous. But got there in time to see Fear. We got to watch Suicidal, Pennywise, and then Offspring closed out the night. I did end up jumping a barricade and into the VIP section because there wasn't a lot of security that night.
Are we in high school? I love it.
Dude.
I love that shit.
Man, whatever to do to get closer, to get the picture. Like, we tried to do it. There was just so many fucking people there.
That's awesome.
Rad. Santa's a bitch to walk in, but the weather was great. Next day we saw Interrupters. They were great. Black Rebel Motorcycle Club. Different band for this kind of festival. Honestly,
Sure.
I would have had them play before Interrupters, but I wasn't in charge of the lineup, so whatever.
They should have asked Stray Wow.
Me. We had Social Distortion, and Bad Religion just killed it. All in all, it was a great festival. There was a motorcycle competition going on, races and that kind of thing. If you like that kind of stuff, and hopefully they do it again. It was rad.
That's great.
Yeah,
and I really love your write-up that's on our website. So be sure to check it out, guys, because she's got lots of cool insights on her travels.
Yeah, I'm more of a journal type kind, so I had some help there. So.
I don't know what you're talking about. No, actually, it was a really great write-up. So
Thank
you. I'm really definitely a good read. So please visit the website.
I tried. So yeah, let's go ahead and go into the punk rock news segment here on the Sound Sister podcast. Up first, unfortunately, I've got some bad news for you guys. Todd Youth has passed away at the age of 47. Todd played and recorded music with Murphy's Law, Warzone, Danzig, Blood Clot, Degeneration, Fireburn, and many, many more acts. Him passing just blew up my newsfeed from all the old school New York guys.
For sure.
So, rest in peace, Todd Youth. You definitely helped define and just define that early punk rock, hardcore, and then honor with the metal stuff with Danzig and that kind of stuff. So, cause of death is currently unknown. So, definitely go out and go on YouTube and check out some of the Danzig recordings that Todd was on.
Pay your respects.
Direct Hits' new album, Crown of Nothing, out now on Fat Records. Gabby.
It's really good.
Told me it was good. You like it?
I love it. It's been a while since I liked a full album.
Yeah?
And this one's freaking killer.
Yeah?
It's crazy. So
Damn,
go pick it
cool.
up. Check it out.
I gotta check that shit out.
I know. If she listens to it from
And she
start
likes
to
it?
end,
Yeah.
and if she likes
That-
it,
I
I
like
know
it.
I'm doing
Yeah.
The singles they put out, and I was like, all right, it's cool. And then it's good stuff.
Which, by the way, good job on releasing your first new song off of your solo project.
Yeah, it's just a demo for now.
It was great.
So,
Great. I wanted to give you that shout out. She's
Thank
so
you.
humble. She never talks about her
no, not
personal
yet.
projects. So we got to sneak it in there. And
Not yet.
yeah. So that's on our list of news.
Yeah. Check out Gabby's single.
Gabby Chaos.
DOA's Joe Keithley elected to city council in Burnaby City Council in British Columbia. After a few different runs for office, Joe has been elected as a member of the Green Party. I just thought it was cool. This guy played in DOA, and now he's a damn.
I first thought that was one of those hard times.
I thought it was too. So your hard times article for today,
Right.
a dude from DOA gets elected to city council.
Killing me, man.
So I don't know. That's cool. You can be in punk rock and do other shit, people. So
Right.
do you, booze? Stray Cats announced working on new album release out in 2019. I put this on here for Gabby because I know she likes Stray Cats.
Ooh, I do
Fuck
too.
Stoked on that.
Yes.
According to RollingStone.com, the Stray Cats have announced they are working on a new album that will be out in 2019. The band is also planning a tour in celebration of their 40th anniversary. 40th anniversary.
Hey.
Fuck!
40th anniversary.
Keep forgetting how old they are.
That shit's older than me. Only by a couple years, so really. That's not a big of a deal.
This will be the group's first full length in 25 years,
Wow.
which was
I'm stoked.
1993's Original Cool.
Wow.
So keep a lookout for a Stray Cat album. Hopefully it doesn't suck. Or older.
And their hair is just as pompy.
Yeah. All right. We got some new music for you guys. AFI released a new track called Get Dark. The mysterious AFI released a new track over their social media, and it will be released on their upcoming 5th track EP titled The Missing Man. The EP will be out December 7th, 2018 through Warner Music Group. I did ask the ladies to take a listen to it. I personally liked it. It feels, and go with me on this, it feels like it could be a No Effects song. Just take out Davey's vocals and put in fat mics, and you have No Effects. Tweak the drums a little bit, and it could be a No Effects song.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that.
It reminded me of No Effects. We called it America.
Okay.
So I'll send it to you and remind you so you can listen
Yeah.
to both. That's what I got.
I kind of thought it was kind of going back to old AFI.
Yeah.
More and more,
Same.
which I appreciated.
Yeah.
So I kind of like the new
like it.
direction they're going in. I really want to dive more deep into the lyrics though, and just pick apart it because I know that they have some complex lyrics sometimes. So
Did you look at the lyrics? 'Cause
no, I didn't.
I did not.
I didn't.
Okay.
So, and I'm a big advocate for reading those liner notes. So, but I didn't. So, way to do your homework, Nicola.
No, I feel AFI has just kind of lately just turned out maybe what the label wants them to turn out and
Okay.
not been true to AFI. But again, you got to give bands the benefit of the doubt of growing and evolving as musicians.
Right.
But this track kind of just felt a little old school. And to me, it sounded No Effectsy. No
Right.
Effectsy.
I'm gonna
I wonder
take a listen.
Who produced it?
Oh, good call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I liked it though.
All right.
Cool.
All right, so here we go on Sound Sister Podcast. This is Get Dark by AFI right here.
I'm not the father, I'm not the son, I'm only a maker of useless things undone. I'm not a mother, a born son, I'm only a maker of useless things undone. Here's one. Do you think you're wrong? Do you think you can? Get down, get down, get down, get down. Do you think you're wrong? Do you think you can? Get down, get down, get down, get down. Get your faith in the fortune. Give me stranger days. You said to love me anyway. You gave back the emotion on the blank exchange. You said my love is like your faith, your faith, your faith, your faith. Do you think you're wrong? Do you think you can? Get down, get down, get down, get down. Do you think you're wrong? Do you think you can? Get down, get down, get down, get down. Tell me you think I am. Tell me do you think I can? Get dark, get dark, get dark, get dark. Tell me
in the studio, we've got Craven Moorehead. Give it up for Craven!
I never get that. That's awesome. I love that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah.
Man.
You guys do it just like I do. Like I just start rolling tape and go. Like just hit it and let's do the interview.
That's the best way to do it.
That's right. That's
Candid
right.
and,
Get it
go with the
done.
flow. All right, so let the listeners know, who are you and what do you do?
Well, okay. My name's Craven Moorehead. I am a DJ guy who plays punk rock records on Sunday nights on 98 KUPD, and been in Phoenix, Arizona, playing punk rock records on FM radio for like 15 years or something, maybe even longer.
Yeah.
Maybe 17 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. And I play, a lot of national punk artists and try to mix in some locals as well. That's kind of my deal. That's it. As far as music goes. I don't know if you want to know all the other boring stuff.
I want to know it all.
Everything. All of
The
it.
drums, everything.
Oh, okay.
Everything, dude.
I'm
Dad
just
life.
We dug up your
huge
past.
music dork. I've always been a gear dork, and
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
What is the story of Craven?
The name?
Yeah.
Yes. Let's
What
hear
does that mean?
I think everyone is lying who's ever said that to me, which is kind of fun. So many people get it right away, but you'd be shocked how many people are like, "What? Huh?" It took me like 2 years. I'm like, really? So the behind the name, I guess, I never ever wanted to be on air. Like I was always a production guy, like kind of how you got your studio here. I've always been music and Pro Tools, and I got into radio to kind of just do commercial work and voiceover work, which is kind of what pays the bills now. Like I still do that. But there was a show called the Ska Punk Show on the Edge many years ago, and
Rest in peace.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Yep.
I really lucked into something there that I didn't realize was going to be such a thing. I was kind of my first real job, and it lasted for 15 years almost, something like that. And I started off just as a promotions kid who wanted to get into the production studios and start messing around with Pro Tools and doing voice stuff. And I never wanted to be on the air. And I remember the Ska Punk Show had been around for about a year with Larry Mack. And I was like, man, that show is so cool. And I used to go on promo stuff with Larry when he'd live DJ. And we just talk music. And I'd be like, I'm into this band. I'm into this record. What do you think? And within a year of me being there, he actually went back to KUPD where he started. And so the show was open. And he was just like, told our program director, Shelly Hart at the time, that, hey, man, you should give this kid a shot and let him do it. He seems to know the music. And let him do it. So I had no idea. I did a little bit of college radio, but I never had.
Wow.
And I just went in there with like my, what I thought at the time was like 200 CDs. I'm like, I thought that was like a huge collection, compared to today, that's like ridiculous. But
CDs?
yeah, it's like, you guys want to hear the Vandals Live Fast Diarrhea again? Here we go.
It skips.
But it was cool, because his show was a little bit more ska. And when I came in, I kind of made it lean a little bit more punk than ska. And, I tell people all the time, like, I old enough now and doing it long enough now where there's kids who come up to me and they're like, I remember listening to you in 8th grade. Now they're like married and have kids. And I'm like,
That's wild.
Damn, I'm like dirt. I'm so old. But the whole time, I've learned just as much about bands and music from the listeners over the years at the same time. Like, it's kind of like, that's what I think is so cool about it. Like, I love new music. Even being an old fart now, like, I still like... Right. And I get bored. Like, I think a lot of punk fans are kind of that way. It's like, it could be a great new record out from a band I love, but I'm kind of like, but check out this new thing, like, this is so cool. And also back then, like I said, you only had your collection I was coming in with, and there wasn't, internet and all these downloads and these massive music collections. So at that time, you would get like a record. Like, imagine when you would shop at a record store. If you got a record that sucked, even if it was from a great band, you were kind of done with that band. Yeah. I remember not thinking, and the reason I brought the Vandals earlier, I remember thinking I didn't like the Vandals record I bought as a fan, shoveling through the record store, and I was like, man, this band sucks. And then I'd have people like requesting songs, and I'm like, that song is great, So then, I kind of learned about bands that way and kind of learned what's good and bad and whatever, so.
Well, that brings me to one of my questions. So, like, podcast, YouTube, digital recording and stuff, did it kill the radio personality? Like, what was that transition?
Did it kill you?
Did it kill you?
Wow.
Getting
You know what?
deeper.
It definitely made it different, you know, and it's kind of the same way I think for just music in general. Like
Yes,
we were talking
agreed.
about before, you had like a small collection. It would have been a large collection back then, but now like everyone, like you could probably have just every bit as much music and punk rock as I have, and I've been collecting and doing this stuff for years. But I think what the allure of just you know, what we're doing now is that it's on FM, so it's kind of cool, you know. It's like it's still like it's sort of an antiquated thing now, but people still get in their cars, they still push buttons, and it's kind of neat, especially when radio's kind of become so sterile, like it's the same songs on, you know, it's always been that way, but it's even more so now. I'm not listening to my own show, but I imagine it's got to be kind of neat to be like, okay, there's, you know, the Justin Bieber song or whatever, and just going through the dial, and then all of a sudden, holy shit, that's Black Flag. Like why is this even on the radio?
Yeah.
Like it was never really supposed to be on in the first place, and I think that part of it is still kind of cool now, I guess. Even, you know, you can listen to a podcast and those things. And I think those things are all great too, by the way. Like people bitch about new music all the time. Like it's just not the way it was. I'm like, you know what? You're right. It's way fucking better now.
Yeah.
Like I hear so many more bands that I like now. If anything, it's almost the opposite problem. And I think it's kind of this, back to your point with radio. Like there's so many shows and so many podcasts and so many things. It's like, well, where do you start?
It's overwhelming sometimes.
Totally.
You know, just like where exactly. Are you a fan of podcasts? Do you listen to different shows?
I honestly don't, and the few times I have, I've enjoyed them. But for me, it's just I don't really sit and I set aside time every Saturday to just listen to new music. Like that's my morning, and sometimes Sunday morning before I go do the show, and I just kind of scour the net and go through things. I think part of it for me is, as far as podcasts, is that it's not so much you can't play music, you know, it's copyrighted unless you go through, you know, the proper channels or whatever.
Unless you're us and just kind of do it. And don't
Sure, and
hope
you
for the best.
can, you can. And there's a place out of England we used to do, you know, remote shows on, like podcast shows, and they actually do pay the artist, which is neat. You just send them a playlist, but you know, it's most of the shows are more based around talk and discussions than anything else, and you know, being a dad, I'm talking and discussing enough. I'm just like, let's just go, you know. So, but like I said, the ones I've tried out, when I've seen, I've really liked.
That's cool. Yeah, no, I feel like doing just this podcast together, forcibly making myself look up punk rock news and who's putting out what music right now. I've been listening to a lot more new music.
And with me, because I'm more the photographer, visual, artistic out of the bunch. I mean, we all three are, but that's what I try to speak to. I've had to do that as well, like kind of school myself into what's up and coming, because it's the connection between that and art. It's like the music, it's the bridgeway.
Yeah, you got to stay up on
Yeah.
it. I mean, and same with the show. Sunday, you know, like I know I don't want it to just be the same stuff I've played for the last 10 years that I know people like. Like, you know, it'll be something like, and people will ask me like, well, why do you play so much Rise Against and Offspring and Pennywise and I'll play those to, you know, that's kind of that's the hook. It's like, okay, if you're a Joe Blow and you're not necessarily a total punk fan, and you hear an Offspring song that may not be the, you know, biggest single from them, and then you try to follow that up with new music, you know, it's like, okay, well, you like this, maybe they'll dig this too. So, you know, and I have to explain to people who kind of, you know, because I get all kinds of people listen to that show who's like, you know, because there'll be someone who like that I played DRI, and they'll be like, wow, how come you're not playing more of that? And they're like, well, because there's not as many you dudes into DRI. Like, I love DRI. It's not it's not about me either. It's about, you know, making a cool show that's kind of, you know, as you know, acceptable amongst punk fans as possible.
It's eclectic.
Right.
And you do a really good job of finding deeper cuts too.
Yeah.
Which is hard.
Yeah, you know, especially from the bigger bands, I try to find
Yeah.
like, okay, I can't believe this song wasn't a single type of thing, you
Yeah.
know, from like Rise Against or whatever. But you know, you certainly can't please all the people all the time, as you guys well know. And punk is even harder. You know, you just drive yourself nuts if you try.
Right.
So.
Well, well aware.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, so growing up, did you listen to a lot of punk rock? What were some of your favorite bands, and did you go to shows?
I did. I mean, I was definitely an early adapter. I was, you know, an 80s kind of hardcore punk rock fan. I think my first ever show was, as far as like going to a bar and it being an all ages show, there was a little place in Columbus, Ohio called Marco Polo's, which was a laundromat and then also a venue
So
and a
rad.
bar. Actually, there was 2 of those in my life. One of my other favorite venues was Sudsy Malone's in Cincinnati, which is right across the street from Bogart's, and that was the same thing, oddly enough. But Marco Polo's, I saw Black Flag in 1984 during the My War tour, and that was it. I was just like, wow, this is so cool. Actually, might have been Slip It In. I know they performed Slip It In that night, but and it was a matinee. Actually, now I say night, it actually reminded me. They had a matinee for kids. Like you went,
Oh, damn.
you were younger, but and it was just like being in a bar and like I think it was in like 8th grade or something like that in '84, and it was like I'm totally dating myself now, but did the whole suicidal tendencies thing where I had my dad's cut up. He used to get so pissed. I'd take like his, office clothes and like do the whole Venice, like grab a Sharpie and make a cool T-shirt out of it. Because there wasn't, this stuff just wasn't, it was definitely a little bit more
DIY.
sort of. I mean, I think there's still a lot, like, especially like we were talking about before with the punk forefront scene. I think there's still like so much of that DIY spirit and so many things I see today, but it just wasn't as, easily accessible back then as I guess it is now. So you had to do stuff like that. But yeah, and I like new wave stuff too. I loved Devo. I was a huge Devo freak early. Those were probably in Descendants, and just about anything that came out on SST at that time was pretty cool with me. And I still liked all the other stuff that some other kids were listening to. I kind of was really a rock fan too. Like I dug Van Halen records just as much as the next kid, or the first Motley Crue record. But I was also like, my main thing was grabbing my skateboard and listening to all the punk stuff.
So it's 1984. You're in 8th grade. How the hell do you find out that Black Flag's going to be playing a punk rock laundry band? Like, how do you find out about that?
Did you do
was a
laundry
total
after?
record store kid. Like,
Okay.
that was the thing. Like, we used to go to Ohio State's campus on High Street, and they had great. They still, I think, a couple of them are still around, but Magnolia, Thunder Pussy, and Sing a Dog Records, and we'd go down there, and soon we were all like starting our own bands to open up for some of these bands. Wow. And that's it. It was flyers. It was flyers on poles.
Okay.
You'd go down High Street, and by the record stores, all the the telephone poles or light poles just have flyers for shows all over them, and that was it. That, and really my only other source of anything was Flipside magazine.
Yeah.
Maximum Rock and Roll was available, but I was pretty much just a Flipside guy, and that's it. I mean, that and word of mouth, and that was. But it wasn't a big scene back then either. Like there's hardly any females, at all.
Right.
You go to shows and be just a bunch of sweaty dudes running into each other for
So when did you
couple
notice
hours.
the switch? Like when more females started coming out to these punk rock shows?
Well, my recollection and just thinking back on it all, like it started to die towards the mid to late 80s because goofy stuff was happening at shows and violence at shows and whatever. And then they're just, I think I was off to college at that time, and I don't remember there really being any punk bands I was really into again until the Epitaph stuff started hitting. And that was like, I can't remember what year it was, but it was mid-90s. I remember getting a Flipside magazine just because I was like, what is going on? Like, there's got to be some cooler music than the stuff I'm getting. Right. And I remember that year, it was the year that White Trash, Two Heaves and a Bean, and Rocket from the Crypt and New Bomb Turks all tied for first place for like record of the year on Flipside. And I was already kind of a New Bomb Turks fan from being from Columbus. But then I was like, I got to check out these other bands. And that's literally how I went out and bought my first NoFX record, was I saw that in Flipside magazine. I'm like, they got to be cool. They got put in the same, little thing as the Turks, who I love, and Rocket from the Crypt also. So, and then it just seemed to all kind of take off from there. And then you had the Kerplunk came out, and it started getting bigger again. And,
Right. It was the second
basically
wave.
Fat Records and Epitaph. Yeah, exactly. Like
Second
for me,
wave.
I mean, that might have been the actual third wave.
Maybe
but-
third, yeah. You may have
I'm not real up on my ways, but yeah, it was kind of dead, and that brought it back in a huge way. And then the Warped Tour stuff started happening, and it was just crazy.
So then at that point, that's when the ladies came around, right?
Right.
Because they were singing about ladies too.
It was a little more user friendly. I mean, there were still some pretty gnarly bands, and not that ladies can't like gnarly bands. I just, for whatever reason, it started there at that time, and it kind of lived in that place in the 80s. And there were some girls in and around the scenes, that just not as much now. And the music's a little more melodic. Like, it's funny to me, like some bands that people will think are like hardcore, and it's still a certain a lot more melody than before.
Right.
But all in all, great music during that time. So.
No, yeah. From what I've heard, just going to shows back in the day, it's way different than it is now. It's way more coddled now. I mean, you guys were having to like fight off each other with knives, and you were punching whoever.
I mean, I definitely.
Like,
some scenes were. I mean, Ohio definitely wasn't like a Boston scene or an LA scene. We had some pretty goofy shit happen, but like I don't remember anything being like that crazy like that. I've read the No Effects book and some of these other, and I'm a huge documentary dork. Like I love it. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm like, whoa, yeah. Our scene was not really, into this as much. But weird stuff happened. It was just a different time, but certainly, I mean, I remember, I think it was like the second time I saw Pennywise. I mean, that pit was no fucking joke. Like, really? I was out of there pretty quick. Like, I'm done. But yeah, I mean, I think there's still a certain amount of energy. It just doesn't seem to happen in the small places as much as it used to.
Okay.
It kind of bums me out.
Well, that makes sense then.
Yeah.
Small town, like, yeah.
Makes sense. So you were saying something about you're a huge documentary buff. We love documentaries. What are some of your favorite punk documentaries?
Well, I love American hardcore because like that's kind of like I just watch it and it's just kind of going down memory lane a lot to some extent. But that one's probably my favorite. But I just watched the Iggy Pop one, and they're all kind of cool. Like I've never really seen one that I didn't like. They're all kind of the same too. So like, what stands out? It's like
the other F word. The second time bringing it up in one of our episodes. But how did you feel about that being a dad?
I liked it. I read the book actually right before the Jim Lindbergh book that came. Was it just called Punk Rock Dad? I think at the time. And I loved that too. I thought they were both good.
Yeah,
that was. I could relate to a lot of that too. Being my age and being with two kids, a lot of that spoke to me. Although I couldn't imagine being like Lars Fredrickson and being like that punk rock, like showing up. I'm not that dude for sure, but.
So how do you balance it all? So you're a dad and you're a realtor, right? And then you're also a musician too. Are you still playing? Like,
I just play for fun. Like I said, I've always had kind of a room sort of like this where I just like a gear dork, and I actually one of my biggest regrets when I die, I'm sure, will be that I didn't learn how to play better and learn and just do more of that,
Right.
Which I think everyone who's a musician kind of has. But I'm pretty much just 9 to 5. I'm actually not doing any realtor stuff right now. I still have my license. That kind of came about when I lost my first radio job. It's like, oh, what the fuck do I do? I've done this for 15 years. I have no idea. And I just loved Arizona. So, like most radio people, just move. Right. Like, okay, because there's lots of gigs, and I had enough experience where I could have gone to, Wichita or something and, picked up a job doing it. But, I wanted to stay here really bad. My kids like it here, and my wife is native to Arizona. So, to me, it was like, how do I stay here and not do something I think completely blows? So I did realty for a little while, but then I got a job in production again about a year and a half ago where I worked from my home studio. So it worked out really good. So now I'm like home all day, working for a company. We do like, it's called the Mix Group, and we do like, I think it's like almost 1,300 radio stations around the world. So it's really neat. Awesome. It's like, 13 or 14 other guys, and that's it. We just produce all day. We sit at Pro Tools and knock out commercials and promos for shows and stuff like that.
Are you guys hiring?
You know what? They might be soon. It's been growing, so we'll get your chops up.
Yeah, I was going to ask, because you do have your own recording studio, right? Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love that stuff. I mean, that was what I initially moved out west to do.
Oh, okay.
Like being from Ohio was like, okay, you can either go to New York. I wasn't a big enough country fan to consider Nashville, but at the time I was like, okay, either New York, where I kept hearing all these horror stories, like you have to be an intern, you basically have to have someone pay for you to be out there while you're learning all the studio stuff, or you can move out west. And I was like, that sounds better to me. So I lived in Hollywood for like 2 years, just drove my car from Ohio to Hollywood, worked in a studio there for 2 years called Westlake Studios, and basically ran and got people coffee and worked. It was cool though. Like we learned to they had the big SSL and Neve boards and and you kind of work your way up. You start off as a runner and then they let you be like a setup tech, and then you can be a second engineer, and then you're actually sitting in on all these sessions and helping people cable up. And then somehow ended up in Phoenix, and that was it. Really, I was kind of moving home because my buddies who had moved out west with me got kind of homesick and moved back home. So I didn't want to be in LA by myself. I didn't really know anybody, and I was such a studio rat. I didn't really have any friends outside of where I worked, and we all just kind of lived at the studio. Wow. So, you know, I was going to head back home, and I stopped off here to see a friend and just visit because I wasn't sure I wanted to move back home. Wow. And really just kind of fell in love with Arizona right away, and totally on a whim. Like, you know, the U-Haul could have kept going, or I couldn't have stopped and visited, and ended up just staying. So that was it.
That's awesome. Very cool. So let's talk a little bit about the rise and fall of your gig at the Edge.
What happened? Give me the drama. I want the cheese
to the 98 KUPD, and just because there was a lot of rallying to turn things around for you. So let's hear about some of the feels and some of the stuff that went down.
It was a really kind of brutal, crazy time. Like, it was kind of hectic because I didn't know what to do. So like initially I really just wanted to keep doing the Ska Punk Show and doing that. So we started the internet version of the Ska Punk Show, which was just skapunkradio.com. And that was just because I was like, I didn't know what to do. And I had all this nervous energy about what I was going to do. So I'm like, I want to keep doing the show though. Right. You know, it was always just, you know, just to kind of keep that going, keep it alive. Started podcasting that essentially. And then we kind of figured out like, okay, well maybe we can just make my recording studio into a studio. And we started figuring out how to, you know, put it on a live app and do all these crazy things. And it was really nuts and really hectic because it was, you know, it was running 24/7 and we were all kind of going crazy. And at the time, you know, different folks who were talking about opening the alt stations were like, okay, well maybe we'll do that. And we did the online version of KUKQ. And that at the time for me was just kind of like, okay, I don't have to worry about this thing 24/7. I can get some help. And people I liked working with and you know, were fun to do stuff with. And we did that for a little while. And then Alt 93.3 came around. And I was like, well, there isn't really a need for an alt station. But you know, and then Larry McFeely, you know, was like, dude, you want to bring that thing over here? I was like, sweet. Yeah, I mean, that was perfect. I mean, I couldn't believe that. That was just shocking to me to be on such an awesome station that was like such a rock station too, you know. And for all those years I was on the Edge, it was kind of like, it was hit or miss because we went through so many different owners. And certainly the weird punk show on Sunday night was always on the fucking cutting block. It was like, what's this dude doing?
Oh,
you know, like
shit. Okay.
we're trying to play hit songs and like, and then what, you know, you get some old dude who's just buying a radio station and they're like, fuck this, like I don't want this. So it was literally, I think we went through like 5 different owners. It was always a constant like, you know, hey, you know, you need to keep this on. It's got a good, you know, bass. It's got a lot of people who listen. It's a cool thing. And
little did they know it was like leaving such a huge community.
You know, and honestly, to me, I didn't, you know, until it really kind of went away, I didn't realize the impact on like the locals with it.
I mean, I can say personally that there's so many bands, songs, things that I got into just based off of listening to you. And so I'm sure so many people come up and tell you that, but you know, thank you for what you do for this community. You've allowed us to like rally together and try to do our own thing, but on top of it, I mean, you've definitely been a huge voice to the Arizona punk community. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm smitten.
No, because I remember the first time, because I didn't meet you, and I was with my husband Rico, and it was for the big fundraiser for Lightspeed Go was playing, and they were doing all that stuff, and then he's like, yeah, Craven's behind you, and I'm all, no way, and he's like, don't you hear his voice? And I'm like, oh.
That's funny.
Because I've been listening to you for so many years, and I'm sure you get those stories all the time, and that's a cool thing, you know?
Not that much. It's always good to hear something like that. You know, it's really cool. And I you know, as far as the Phoenix, Arizona here, see, I kind of like where it's at right now. It's kind of cool. Like, you know, even when the show was at its biggest, like when we were talking about the Epitaph and Fat Scene being so big and Warped Tour and all that, like that's probably when I remember everything being as big as far as the radio show goes. Yeah. But bands were kind of shitty to each other, you know. And not that you don't. I'm not at every. You guys do a lot of local shows that you probably see good and bad, but you know, collectively, it seems like at least folks are trying to get along a little bit better than I remember. I mean, bands were like so backstabby and like.
Oh man, yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you about. Is just what are some of the most terrible bands you've had to like work with, and then oh fuck, I gotta play your song on the radio. Like, have there any been total douchebags? Because you know, just
you know, not really with the punk show.
Okay.
I've never really, you know, most bands in that regard. I mean, I guess I'm trying to think of some weird interactions. Probably. I remember. I think the band The Bravery. I'm not sure it was The Bravery or I know that's not punk, but like just working in alternative radio.
Yeah.
And I would do all the acoustic recordings.
Oh, okay.
And they had to, I got some nice gear, so like the station was really cool about supporting me and helping me or me helping them go out and do these recordings, and they would pay me or whatever. And I bring out all my nice shit. It wouldn't just be the radio station stuff, and I'd get a good recording. So I remember they had one of their road guys was just a fucking asshole. Yeah. Like, do you guys cuss this? Do you?
Yeah,
I feel like
we do.
Okay.
Go ahead. Fucking do it.
Okay.
We don't fucking cuss.
I was like excited about that because I don't ever get a cuss, and then I'm like, now that we're into this thing, I'm like, I feel like I'm the only one dropping F-bombs. I just zip that out. So anyway, okay, so it was a thing where we had to record The Bravery for, listeners had won, they get to go see The Bravery. And it's not really anything bad on the band, but this guy was being such a jerk, and I would plug in all my expensive preamps and all my stuff, and he kept just unplugging it. I'd have like a Phantom Power on and stuff for the for fans, and not fans of the band, like big fans, so that the band wouldn't sweat and their hair wouldn't get fucked up. And I was like, yeah. Well, because the hair, and I say that like because a fan would normally mess up your hair, but they had all this gel and stuff, and they didn't want to get hot and like be dripping off. And I don't know if that's why. That was kind of that's a little bit of embellishment there, but he was saying that the band needed he was like had all these fans. So there was these big high power like you'd see in a high school gym type of fan. Right. But he just kept like straight up like pulling my stuff out and everything would just power down. I'm like, dude. I left. I was like, fuck these guys, fuck this dude. I'm done. I had my program director be like, what are you talking about? You can't leave. We've got this thing. I'm like, I don't care. You can, go out there with your SM58 and fucking do this thing. Right. Like, I'm done.
You should have gone up and messed up their hair. Like, give them a new
That's where I feel bad. So it wasn't really the band. And honestly, every time I've ever had a bad thing, it's usually the people, and I get it so much because I know how hard it's got to be for bands, and especially those dudes who are roadieing. Yeah. But usually it's like a tour manager or something who's just had it. And, and everyone's trying to be nice and like, hey, you're helping us, we're helping you. Let's do this thing at the station. And there'll be some bent out of shape dude who's just like, not appreciating what we're trying to do for them. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, especially the punk bands have all been really cool over the years. I can't really think of anyone who is an asshole.
Oh man, I've been.
I mean, it'll probably hit me 15 minutes later, and I'll be like texting you guys like, "Oh, hey, next episode mention that." But no, I mean, and I don't know. You guys are probably run into more of that than I have because you're playing with those bands,
right? Well, and I don't know.
They see the radio, they're like, "Hey, maybe we can get on the radio. We'll be kiss ass or something."
Right.
So like,
yeah.
I've just never really had too much of that.
Okay.
And some of the weirdest people have been cool too, by the way. Like Kid Rock, I'm sure is like he was like the nicest dude when he came to the station. Like so cool. I don't know if he just gets the game or what, but like the most random people where you're like, wow, okay, I thought that dude would be a dick, and he was super cool. Now I gotta rethink everything. I'm gonna go home and listen to Ba with the Ba a couple times.
You gotta bang to bang a beat.
Yeah, you know it. Yeah.
So we like to call fangirl moments when you meet like some, where you geek out, like, oh, I can't believe I'm, meeting this person, interviewing them. Have you had any of those moments on your show?
I have it all the time. I mean, I'm a fan. Like, I'm not, even as long as I've been doing this, I mean, I have moments where I'm, nervous doing interviews, and like, I'm a fan of even bands I'm not like, totally in love with. But newer bands that you think like, oh, it's just a new band. Like, I usually, if I am seeing a show or I'm going up to meet people, like I'm a fan. Like I'm just into it. Like I have fangirl moments all the time. Probably.
It makes me feel better because I do all the time.
Well, I mean, if you love music, you kind of have to be. If you're gonna do the shit that any of us do, and especially in your spare time, and having folks come to your house on a Sunday and being that dedicated.
I did a deep clean last night.
You did?
I was pretty nervous.
It's funny you say that because I got a friend coming in town on Monday, and like our fucking front yard just looked like Jungle Book.
Yeah.
Like it was insane. I'm like,
I even
so I
cleaned
was
the
like out
hallways.
8 hours. Thank you so much for caring enough to do that. But
it was
you
like
didn't
1 in
need
the
to.
morning cleaning the doors because I saw dust, and I'm like, oh, I need to clean all the doors now. And yeah, it was.
Well,
for the record,
I just did that to my whole house because my old college roommate is coming to town.
Well, for the record, he said that it was legit. It's a legit setup.
It looks awesome.
Wait.
Very cool. Yeah. So how do you prep and stuff for your different. You said you listen to music all day. Saturdays, you said?
Saturdays and Sundays. So
Okay.
local bands, if you're listening to this,
Oh.
that's the best time to hit me. And I'm an early riser, so like I will literally throw on my headphones at like 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m. on Saturday, and going through.
Brace yourself for some drunken messages because they're probably still up from the night before. Like, gotta hit up Craven. It's 5 a.m.
That's fine as long as it's on Facebook. I don't care. But yeah, that's usually when I get the bulk of my listening in.
Very
I like to do that stuff when I'm like fresh and in a good mood. Like the day usually bums me out. By like nighttime, I don't want to listen to shit.
Yeah.
So first thing in the morning, I'm feeling good, and just don't send me links. Send me your music.
That makes sense.
I mean, it's okay to send a link but also send the music. But I get so many bands that like send me their link and be like, "Can you play this?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm not playing fucking YouTube on my like. What do you think? I'm like, am I gonna hold the computer up to the microphone?" I mean, we do have the computer going through, but it's like such shitty quality. It's like at least at a minimum, give me like a decent quality MP3. But I
Take
don't
note,
want it to
local
stream.
bands.
Yeah. I
We're-
mean, there's a way to do that. You guys have done it. I mean, you put a package together, you give, do a bio and give it to them any way they could possibly get it on the air.
So what is some advice you could offer to maybe some up-and-coming bands that you see could do it better, deliver it better,
Yeah.
as far as getting music out to radio or
If
just
you-
getting it out there?
Get one or two of your best songs. I don't think it really helps. Like you guys know me, so if you give me an EP, I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna listen to this and check it out. But if you're just coming out of nowhere, one or two of your best songs, that's what I would do, and I would get it to them. And I don't know if CDs so much anymore. I mean, I've been doing it so long, I'm almost kind of bummed sometimes when I get CDs because I have a whole shed of them. Like I'm just like I don't know what to do with all this shit. But not links. I mean, that's the biggest thing. It's like, because most people aren't going to just no DJs are going to play a link. And then you're asking them to go the extra step if they like it. And it's not that they can't. And it's part of our job. But it's like, we've got a ton of it. Like, we're not, I'll hear stuff sometime and it'll be like, wow, this is great. And I search my own stuff out. And I'll find something on YouTube or something I like through a link if I'm doing the research. But if I just get a bunch of different links from stuff, I'm just like, give me the song too. Once again, links are fine, but give me something I can load into my computer and play, versus just trying to fire it off of someone else's website. Is never really going to work. But other than that, I mean, now once again, it's easier nowadays.
Right.
I would have had a million different things to recommend back when you had to send a CD out. Like so many people would send it in shrink wrap and stuff. I'm like, don't put the shrink wrap on. Like any way to just get it to the DJ easier, and so they can just give it a listen and decide if they want to put it on.
So is press kits, or is that a dead thing, do you think, sending it to radio stations that way?
I see everyone doing the EPKs and stuff.
Yeah.
I've never looked at one.
Oh, damn.
I've never. I mean, other than a couple people who I know who have been like, "Hey, check them out."
Yeah.
I think that's better for. Is that more for live shows, or is that supposed to go to radio?
I think both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both. Mostly live.
I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm not necessarily the definitive authority on that because I'm not a program director. Just trying, like, if you're trying to get on a regular rotation, maybe. But I'll tell you this much: those guys are getting way more music than I am.
Yeah.
I mean, you really just have to have someone or make a connection somewhere where you're going to get someone to listen to it.
Wow.
I think there are some promo companies, like third-party promo companies, like my old friend Dead Air Dave works for Uncle Promo. And those are usually guys who have worked at radio for a long time, so they can at least... Like, Dave will send me some stuff like he knows isn't going to get on the show. And he'll try to pitch me like, it's kind of punk, dude. Just listen, it's kind of. But he also knows if it's something center of the bullseye, and I'll get that right away. So I would say those are kind of good for getting on the radio because those people who work in those third-party promo companies are usually from a radio background or ex-DJs or something, and they'll at least be able to email someone and say, hey, you should put this at the top of the pile.
Yeah.
Other than that, live
So
show.
it's who you
I mean,
know.
live show and just making your own clatter in your own hood. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because people hear and find out about that. I mean, I know I hear about that. Even if it's just so much as me going to a show and be like, taking note of people talking to me and going, hey, did you see this show? I heard this band, like.
I was going to say, I know we'll go to shows and we'll get asked, are you guys scouting bands right now? Does
Oh,
that
really?
happen to you too? And I'm like, no, I'm just here like watching the band, man. Like, We're just here.
No, I've never
You
had
guys
that.
scouting bands? I'm like,
That was weird.
Scouting bands, huh?
When did that happen?
it's happened a few times.
Oh my gosh.
I've gotten a lot of here check out my bands, but not. I've never had anyone ask me if I was
Scouting
scouting.
bands.
So
Like,
on
Like,
it,
wait, what are you gonna do? Like,
am I
Adam,
gonna
do your
do?
band.
right. So whether it's a small band or a national act, there have been specific instances where you've listened to a track and there were nobody, and you're like, this band's gonna be something, and it blew up. Let's hear some of those stories, because I'm sure it's happened.
My favorite story of that I brag about all the time is Flogging Molly, because Flogging
Fucking
Molly
A.
was, and as much as I've taken credit for that over the years, it is kind of sort of Ken Casey who got me hip to that, and he doesn't know me, and I don't really know him at all, other than there was a Warped Tour was in town, and they did a pre-Warped Tour show at Bash on Ash, and I was a Dropkick fan, and I saw Ken Casey, and I just introduced myself and said, hey, I do a show, and we talked music for a minute, and he said, hey man, tomorrow you should go check out this band called Flogging Molly. And Flogging Molly, that was the year it was at that dirt field, that I'm spacing on the name now. The racetrack. Oh, damn it. Someone's got to think of it, because everyone's going to call us out when they listen to the podcast. Begins with an M.
Manzanita?
Manzanita.
Manzanita?
Hell yeah. Manzanita Speedway.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, we had people working for us just falling in the dirt, just passing out. Like, it was so disgusting that day. It was so gross. And I don't know if they ever had a show there since that I know of. But that being said, I just had it in my head that, Ken Casey said to check out this band. So I went over to this little, they were on this, I don't even know if it was a stage. Like, it was literally like box crates. And Flogging Molly was playing to like 8 of the most like crusty punk dudes who were like just, that hardcore in. Were you in there? Oh, okay.
probably not old enough.
And me. And I just like watching it. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And they literally looked like a back porch jug band, because they were on the smallest, shittiest stage in the dirt. And so I immediately got the record. Side One put out the record, so, obviously people were hip to them.
Yeah.
Not that Side One was pretty small at the time, I think. Again, definitely not as, notable as now.
Yeah.
But, and I just started playing Devil's Dance Floor on the show, and I had no idea the reaction, and it was just kind of like, it just kept growing, so I just kept playing it more and more and more, and so that was kind of the one. Not that, I guess that's probably, that answers your question, right? Like a small band that was,
Yeah. Well, and
I
it's
got it.
interesting because then they kept coming back to Arizona, especially like on St. Patty's Day. And I remember going and seeing them when they weren't that big at Macy Amphitheater. I know we've talked about in other episodes. So there's got to be,
that was the time.
Yeah,
because
that was the time.
Because then she, Nancy Stevens at the time, liked it, and I kept telling her that it was blowing up on the Sunday show.
Yeah.
And she started putting them in regular rotation. And I think that's, and so Phoenix as a radio market were either the first or right up there, was one of the first to start playing the follow-up singles.
Oh, okay.
What's Left of the Flag and Drunken Lullabies.
Yeah.
And then that kind of kept getting bigger and getting added to more radio stations.
That makes
But that
sense.
was the thing. Like, and I always thought, I always thought it was crazy that I kept going forever past that, But so for a lot of years, The Edge would bring them out, and they, they wanted to do it for us. 'Cause
That
they were the
makes
first station to
sense.
play 'em.
I kept wondering, I'm like, why is this badass Irish punk band coming to Phoenix, Arizona on St. Patty's Day?
Versus
I thought
LA,
it was
yeah,
so
especially after
freaking
they
weird.
relocated to LA.
I mean, it's cool to see them back here again every once in a while, but that makes a lot of sense. So thanks for piecing that together.
There you go. That's it. I'm surprised you didn't know that already, because I brag about that one all the time. I just want to play Flogging.
It's old Craven.
So I'm obviously a huge fan of concert photography, artwork. Tell me some of your favorite. Do you have any favorite artists or different album covers that you really, really loved growing up?
Wow. To me, it's just the records I loved, I guess. I don't know so much about. I love all the early Black Flag stuff, all the stuff that came. What is it, the guy's brother's name in the space of me now? I want to say Raymond Pettibone, but I'm not sure if that's right. Does that sound right?
Let's look.
Probably worth the Google. Just the ones that were kind of iconic to me are the only ones that stand out. Like I think of the Milo covers.
Yes.
And I guess sort of anything that was sort of hand drawn. I think about like the Bad Music for Bad People from the Cramps. I have no idea who did that.
Yeah.
Is that right on the artist or no?
No, I don't.
Fuck.
It's coming up, like Bad Music for Bad People. That's one of my favorite albums. And I saw that you shared that on Halloween, which is one of the tracks that I was teetering on for our Halloween special. Was
Right.
The Cramps. I'm such a huge fan. I remember when I first listened to the Cramps, and I had a friend who was way older than me that taught me the ways. And I got the CD and I listened to it. I'm like, what other music is like this? And she smiled at me. She's like, there's no other music like the Cramps.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's true.
That was such a weird record for me, even when it came
Yeah.
out. Like, in real time back then, I was like, "What? Am I supposed to like this?" It was like one of those like,
Yeah.
it doesn't really rock, but boy, it sure is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's kind of one of the things I sort of miss today. It doesn't seem like there's as many different sounding punk bands. At least not. There are, but not to get the notoriety I think that they should. There's a lot of like rock-based punk rock bands, but I think, even though there were less bands back then, there were at least bands like the Cramps that could,
Shake it up a little.
Right. Or it would at least be listened to by some of the same kind of people. Like now it seems like, okay, if you like psychobilly, you like psychobilly. You might may or may not like something else, but
No, it's true. It's very divided up into. I didn't know until I met Rico that there were different punk scenes. I thought so. I was just going to all these like underground shows
Right.
and all this other stuff, and then I would go to like a pop punk show, which I never really would before. And everybody was nice, didn't have sleeves on their shirt, and it was
Right.
different. It was a different environment that I wasn't used to. So it's interesting how that is. Do you think there needs to be a lot more immunity amongst the scenes, a lot more collabs, as we like to say? Collabs.
I think there are maybe fans who like all those sort of things, but don't necessarily go to as many shows.
Yeah.
I remember going to Sick of It All, and I'm not like a straight up like hardcore fan of those bands, but my cousin really is, and they're amazing. Like, and that was such a great show. I'm like, why am I not going to go see every Murphy's Law Sick of It All show? Like,
Because
I
you don't
should
want to get
be.
kicked in the face.
It was actually fairly. It was a good
Like,
party.
like-
Did that happen to you?
No, I was like telling them, I'm like, I really like hardcore bands, but I don't go to shows because I don't want to get like ninja kicked in the fucking face. And I'm old,
Yeah, I mean, I
man.
don't go to
I'm old.
enough.
I just
See,
wanna,
some of
like-
those hardcore shows, I was bartending, so I was behind the bar. So
Right.
at Palo Verde, we used to do a lot of underground shows, and I'm like, cool, I'm safe behind here.
Yeah.
Make it all.
Well, I'm
throw
sure
bottles
they are.
at you.
I know. Duck. Got really good at ducking.
I'm definitely more towards the back listening nowadays, but
Yeah.
Yes,
now and then I
yeah.
get inspired if I have the right amount of beer and the
You're
music's
scouting.
just right.
You're scouting bands from the
When
back.
I'm not scouting, exactly.
So funny.
I may scout a little closer if the mood strikes me.
Let's do a music break.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
You gonna play
Craven.
music?
Yeah, we can play music on
All right.
this. So we usually ask all our guests to pick songs that have meaning to them or an influence on their life. What's one of your favorite songs, and we'll play it.
Wow, that's like
I know you have
a real question.
Yeah, we'll play anything.
Um,
Whatever you want, boo.
Oh boy. So, but it has to have meaning to me, like.
Or just anything that's influenced you.
Okay.
Favorite band.
Let's
anything.
go with Gene is Dead from Milo Goes to College. That record to me was just, that was it, really. I mean, and it's such a corny one now. It's so funny because I feel like everyone is Descendants. Like, that's my favorite band. But it truly is. I mean, I'd be lying if I said anything else. Like, especially that record. Like, that record was really kind of the first record that changed, the way I looked at every record past that. I was like, whoa, this is fucking cool. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
So as far as something that super duper spoke to me, that was it.
Nice. Cool. Well, we're big Descendants fans, so we're on to that track. So good stuff.
All right. Why don't you introduce it? Because you're here, and that's what you do.
Ooh, how can I spin that into like very radio guy-ish?
Yeah, let's
sound
do it. I want to
system?
hear your biggest Craven radio
Yeah.
voice here.
I try not to sound super radio guy-ish, but I think when you're in front of a microphone, you just kind of
Unleash it today for us.
Oh boy! All right, here it is. Descendants. Gene is Dead on Sound Sisters.
Wake up early, man, it's you. Go to school, where were you? Should've told me, should've known. Never done, I'm the Lord. Your mother told me last night on the phone. Why'd you do it? Now I'm alone. Who the hell did you done anything? Taking you in your body.
country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because country western.
Old country, rockabilly, or you could go oi.
Oi.
Crack retirement music.
Yeah.
Which one are you going?
I haven't heard that yet. I guess that makes
heard
sense.
of oi.
Shaped
I've
in,
seen
yeah.
No, I've heard of Oi. Like I didn't heard that was like retirement.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was still pretty
I kind
active.
of figured that you've heard oi.
I think I've heard of it, but
I guess we're back. Oh, yeah, we get a couple.
And we're back.
We do this all the time. Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
that was a fucking killer segue. I like that.
Bring me on. I
There
didn't
you
know
go, yeah.
somebody.
Get on the show.
Bring me on. So I noticed you post a lot of drums on your Facebook.
Yeah.
Collector.
Yeah, no, I
Do you play drums?
I do, kind of, sort of. I wish I played more, but
Let's talk
I
after
literally
this.
try to play for like 20 minutes a day, just doing my rudiments and,
Oh, cool.
just to say I'm doing something. But yeah, I love old 60s drums, 70s drums. And, I got into that hobby sort of by mistake 15 years ago or something. I had an old snare drum and just did research online, like, hey,
Yeah.
what is this thing that I have? And, just went further and further down the rabbit hole. Next thing I know, I remember seeing guys like on websites that are like, oh, I've got like 3 kits and 10 snares. And I'm like, oh, what a loser. Like, why does he need all this stuff? He's got all these things. And now I'm like 13, 14 kits and like 30 snares. I'm like, I can't stop. I'm like constantly trying to, find the next good deal of something to restore. And,
Or so are you buying them off eBay, or what are you doing?
I just search everywhere, offer up,
hitting up those
different
garage
stores.
sales?
I would certainly like if
Estate sales?
if I did a Craigslist search and you said old drums on it, I would be there at fucking 8 a.m. baby. I had already hit the ATM.
So do you have them just piled up all over your house?
No, and I'm actually kind of trying to curtail it because it did get bad. It was becoming an issue, and it was sort of hoarderish. So we actually did some remodeling in our house like 2 years ago, and I just kind of built like these 2 shelves for kits and a big shelf for snares. And I was like, okay, it's one in and one out from now. So like basically like I've got all my kits that I love. And if I find something new, then one's got to go. So it's
Okay.
like either that or I just restore it for fun and get rid of it. But yeah, I finally did hit a breaking point with me mentally more than anything, I guess. My wife's super cool about it, which is kind of shocking. Like I know most people come home with dusty old drums and
It's normal in my house.
yeah, I imagine most people at this table are probably pretty cool with it. But my wife is awesome with that, and she knows it. Like it kind of keeps me sane. It's cleaning and polishing, and I'd spend more time. That was the other thing with me, like not collecting as much. 'Cause I'm like, I'm not even playing these things like as much as I'd like to. So now I'm trying to not restore as much and play a little bit more. So, but
What's your favorite kit that you have?
dude, the one I got right now in my studio is so fucking awesome. It's a It's a 1969 Sonar teardrop kit. And I've always just collected like the old American kits just because I knew them. And then I came at basically offer up, so what happened? And I didn't even know what they were. They just kind of looked cool. I'm like, I'm going to go check these out. They wanted like, $300. I went out there and they were like, cherry. The lady was getting rid of a bunch of shit from for a church. Okay. And it just happened to be a church kit that was sitting, and it was like perfect shape. Like I didn't even really have to do much to get it cleaned up and going again. I was missing a couple parts, and then took care of that. But I love it. I mean, it's awesome.
I'll have to see a picture of it.
I can get you some
Okay.
pictures. I love showing that stuff off.
Yeah.
We like to include like images in
There
our
you go.
gallery so people can get that.
I will.
So,
Absolutely. I'll send you
Okay.
the new shelves. I'll give you a shot of those.
Yeah, very cool.
So if we want to like jam with you on a song,
Yeah, where's the kid? Let's go. Oh, I gotta
Right
do
behind
this
you.
stuff? I don't know. You guys rip. I mean, I don't know if I could keep up that much. I mean, you guys are flying. I know it's one thing as I keep trying to play. Like I'm okay. I probably surprised you a little bit. Like I could hang on a few tracks, I think, but
well, we listened to a track earlier. What did we listen to? The Morhedz.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of his.
Yeah.
That's right. New record drops 4 months ago. Yeah, that was kind of a thing that my wife and I, we were just you spend so many nights at home with your significant other or whatever, and my wife were like binged out on shows, and I'm like, let's do something fun. Like, so we just decided that, like I have like an hour for lunch every day, so it was like, let's see if we can make a 10-song record, like an actual album of just 1 minute songs that we were like, about being parents or whatever. Just
so
not
cool.
necessarily just about being parents, like dad brains or something, but just kind of like, you know, stuff at our age that we're doing or thinking about our kids or whatever. And so yeah, it's actually kind of close to being done. I'm trying to get Bill Marks over to do one solo because I cannot solo. But it's just basically me taking my lunch break and like it's high pressure because I'm like, you know, okay, this shit has to be done. I don't have any extra time. So I just go in like, okay, it's drum day, and you know, and I'll just
That's
so stuff's
awesome.
really kind of broken down and simple, but it's, you know, like I said, we're on. The goal was to get to track 10. We have 10 tracks. Everything is cut, and our ultimate goal is to just basically put out something on vinyl so that we can have it.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You know, and then maybe
Yeah.
make a couple extras, and if we could sell a couple, then it would pay for us to have one for the family. And the kids are yelling on it and stuff too.
So, where's your wife in the mix of the songs?
She sings. There's a couple of them that are like back and forth where she's screaming.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's a couple of them where she, you know, takes the leads.
So she's
Couple
really
with the
into
kids
music.
screaming on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. She's a music nut too. She actually probably goes to more shows than I do now, which is kind of crazy. You know, she'll definitely be more apt to, you know, muster up the energy on a Friday night than I will. You know,
Okay.
To be honest, I mean, I will if it's a band I really like, but like she'll be like, I'm gonna go check this out. I'm like, really? Fuck.
Yeah.
Can't believe you're doing that. This has been a tough week. But yeah, she'll go to some shows.
That's awesome.
Actually, not just strictly punk, you know. Like, and neither am I guess. But for the most part, my favorite shows that I'll really get up to see is like when it's a newer band that I like that's coming to like a pub rock or a yucca or whatever. But those are the ones that really kind of get me off the couch more than festivals or you know anything like that.
Yeah, things that dehydrate us, right? I don't know. As I get older, I'm not going to those as much either. So, you were talking about your kids kind of screaming on that album. I know I saw a couple videos through social medias of like your kids. What do they think of like you and the music? What kind of music are they into? Is it kind of like, oh, there's dad's music and they're over there listening
Totally,
to something
it's totally
else?
that. Like, well, my youngest one just kind of likes anything right now because he's only 5,
Baby
and she'll
Shark.
still. What's that?
Baby Shark.
What's Baby Shark? Oh,
Your
I
kids
do know
aren't into
Baby Shark.
that?
Yeah, no, I just heard about that They just had a thing at the school, and there's something with Baby Shark, and I heard the song. It was new to me. I've only seen it once at a school function, so I'm not totally in tune.
Okay.
What is it?
No, I don't know. It's like some ridiculous song about a baby shark. I just heard it the other day too,
Okay.
but
Venomous
a lot of
Pink's
kids-
cover. Next Venomous Pink's cover. Baby Shark.
and that would be the song that would skyrocket us. Like,
All of a sudden,
There you go. That'd be it.
you
yeah.
guys are on tour off of Baby Shark, the Baby Shark tour. Stay tuned.
But no, are your daughters into any punk rock at all or no?
You know, they just kind of like songs. Like, they're not necessarily in any one thing
Okay.
or not. My older daughter is definitely into spiting me at every, step of the way. So
But you kind of
She-
love, right? A little?
little, yeah, it's a little angsty, and I kind of get it. But, she's definitely a pop fan. I mean, her and her buddies, they just listen to pop. She's 11. So
Okay.
to me, it's just cool that she likes music. I don't really care that much that she's into, because I would have fucking hated punk if my dad was listening to punk. Half the reason I was, going and searching out the music I was searching is because I was sick of being at home listening to the fucking Eagles or something, I'm like, and it's funny because I do go back now and I'm like, wow, that record Dad was listening to was awesome. Why wasn't I into that Police record? What was I thinking?
Yeah.
But yeah, she wouldn't. I mean, she does like stuff though. She's gonna go. She's super stoked about going to see the Interrupters with us.
Tempe Marketplace.
Tempe
It's
Market.
going to be great. The mall.
Fuck yeah. I mean,
Well,
played
and
there.
Get your mall on.
Well, they're really family friendly too.
They are.
They're very
They actually
appreciative
sang a
fans.
birthday song to her because she couldn't go to the last show, and it was the one. That was actually the coolest thing. Any band.
Yeah.
We were talking about moments before where bands were
Yeah.
salty. That band did that, and it was the last time they were at Pub Rock, and our daughter couldn't go. I can't remember why. I don't know if it was because Mom and Dad wanted to drink, or if we just didn't have a babysitter.
Right.
It was like, do we want to party
Both
or hard, or do we want to?
It's important. I get it.
Right. I can't remember if it was us wanting to party more on our own and stay out later, or if she couldn't go for some other reason. But she really does like the band, and the only time I got to take her to a Warped Tour, that's what we went to go see, was the Interrupters, and she really likes them. And so they actually sang like this cool little duet between Amy and a couple of the members of the band. They just like did an acapella, like, you know, like all like totally spur of the moment. It was like so cool, and sang it like, you know, just a video for us to take home
That's rad.
and listen to. So
You know, I love the interrupters. I mean, we talk about them all the time. But one thing is a lot of people say, like, Amy, all she does is, like, the Tim Armstrong thing. She doesn't really sing. But, I mean, I saw this acoustic thing that they did. It was actually for, I guess, a bunch of winners for the up-and-coming radio show that's 93.3 or whoever is bringing them out here. And you should look it up because she sang some old school stuff and she belted it. I mean, her vocals are on
She
point.
can sing, yeah,
A lot of people
absolutely.
think that she can't. All she does is Tim Armstrong
like
talk.
the Brody
And I'm
doll
like,
thing. And
yeah, I mean, but I also think that there's a lot of singing when it comes to that too. So
Totally.
it's a good balance. So that's really cool she did that though.
Yeah, it was neat. And, you know, that kind of stuff wears off, though. Good music's good music, even if it's somewhat copycatted or ripped in certain areas. Like, I remember not liking Rancid when I first heard them because I was such a Clash fan.
Okay.
I was like, man, fuck this band. What is this about? Like, really? And then, you know, about my third listen on this band's amazing. You know, so. But, yeah, certainly there's folks who got that growl that I don't even know who did that first. I mean, my favorite with that vocal was always Kim Shattuck of the Muffs. She always just, that's such a ripping, like, you know, doing that growl so well. And then you'd be able to go back to the melody and then the softer, more melodic vocal too. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's just a punk rock style now. I don't think that's necessarily like a, you know, someone owns that type of vocal
You
thing.
brought up the Muffs. I forgot about them. I love them so much. So good.
Love them. Last time I saw them was at the Mason Jar a million years ago.
When it was the Mason Jar.
Yeah, that shows how long ago it was, I guess, right there.
So what are your favorite up and comers as far as musicians?
Musicians or bands?
Bands and musicians.
Jeez. Right now, like locally, I really like Playboy Man Baby, and just kind of going back to that sounding different thing, you know, more than anything. I think they're really cool, and I'm just like, I love records where I like it, and I'm like, what in the fuck is this? Like, you know, I feel really like, you know, when it takes me a while to pinpoint where the influences come from, or if there's just no influence at all, I love that.
Great front man too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Robbie,
so much
is
energy.
awesome.
Yeah.
They put on a show.
Yeah.
Like for real.
Totally, and but another, in a band I think gotta see live to sort of
Get
really
it.
get.
Yeah.
I mean, you might like the record, but you love the live show, then come back to the record, I think, and love it. Wow, as far as what am I listening to on my own? I like the new Nightbirds record a lot, although that's not really breaking any ground. I don't think it's just kind of a cool, straight up pop punk record. The new EP they came out with. I'm so bad on the spot. So bad on the spot. So bad.
We like to do that to our guests.
What are you guys listening to? I'm usually asking that question, which is like,
Newish wise,
Yeah,
I like
newish.
the new Lillingtons album. I know a lot of people weren't feeling it, but I liked it.
I thought it was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Now I don't know because now I'm being put on the spot.
See, I was hoping you guys would just like kind of jog my brain a little bit. Okay.
The new direct hit. I've been listening to that album.
I
since it
just the
came
brand
out,
new
man.
one,
The brand new one.
like last week.
Yeah, that one. I think it's fucking amazing.
Oh
Like,
man, I
the-
don't know. We're gonna have words on that.
Dude.
I think it's really good, but I haven't listened to it a lot yet.
I haven't listened
And I've
to
got
the
like
other
two or three
stuff,
tracks that I
though.
love on it, but I
Okay.
remember like what I just put it on. I just listened to it.
Okay.
We just went on vacation. I got it. I'm like, oh, I was so excited.
Right.
It hasn't hit me yet. It hasn't hit me
See,
yet.
the other
Yeah.
records don't hit me, but this one is. I just like it. for
There you
some
go.
reason.
The other ones, I was like
Yeah.
instant
Yeah.
hits for me. You know.
There we go.
But I do still owe it some more. Like I've liked everything they've done, so you know, and that's kind of bad too sometimes. Like I
Yeah.
think if you like a lot of records and then you know you're just so critical by
Right.
record 4 or 5 that you're like, you know. So
Yeah. Did you listen to the new Distiller stuff?
I did. You guys not like it?
It had to grow on me. It
Yeah.
grew on me, but I
Yeah.
don't know
Weren't
if you
they
guys
old
were like.
songs? I mean, from what I read, they were older songs, like just Birdie
Yeah.
Doll songs from her other projects.
Yeah.
I thought that was fine though. Like I you know,
there.
I didn't love it, but I thought it was good. I definitely didn't think it deserved all the trashing it was getting online. You know, I played it a couple times on the show, but I thought it was cool.
Okay.
I'm excited they're back together and doing stuff.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
So, And if they decide to add a little bit more, you know, the rock, you know, just straight up rock to it, I think that's cool too. Because, you know, like I said, I get a little bit burned on just the straight up epitaph, fat sounding stuff. Mm-hmm. And the best reason for it, because I've lived and loved so many of those songs, but it's just like, you know, I'm looking for something different usually. So I kind of like that they added that rock element to it.
Yeah.
We were singing Joan Jett Praise a couple of weeks ago in one of our episodes. What do you think of her new single? Have you heard it yet?
I haven't yet. And then going back to Dead or Dave, that's one of his that he's trying to promote right now.
It's really good. It checks out.
It does?
Yeah.
You know, maybe I'll put that on tonight because I just...
play it for us. Be like,
Okay.
goes out to Sound Sisters.
All right.
Joan Jett.
Do you like how she's already plugging it in? Pod.
It was either that or Venomous Pinks, but okay, we'll go with Joan.
Yeah. Well, I'm not... Just so if any of our 5 listeners know, I am not in the Venomous Pigs. I'm completely different. People get really confused. They think I'm a part of the band, even though I've done some gang vocals. But I just am their
And you're
friends.
in. What more do you
Yeah,
need?
I take some photos. You know, that's what I like to do.
I did this with you. I'm not in the fucking band. I'm doing this with you guys right now.
Yeah.
Okay?
He's in the band.
That was part of the deal.
Can I? You know, I do want to audition for a tambourine spot. You know, the triangle.
I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll keep that on the back burner. Okay.
Some folk punk.
Right.
Do you like folk punk? Craven?
I do. I mean, and I know that's it's funny you bring that up because I just saw another. Once again, going back to, I am a sucker for like the online bitch fest. I hate, you know, I try to.
Did we
like
see
that
the
guy's
same
like,
post?
I don't care what these people are saying. Like you know, and then I always am. I'm like, I go way down the list. I'm reading everyone's comment. I just saw a big thing on folk punk and people like dissing it. And, you know, once again, to me, it's about songs. Like, you know, what would you consider folk punk? Like,
Yeah.
I guess is the other question. Like,
What do they call it?
Does it have a washboard? Just kidding. Are they playing a washboard?
well, I only say that because like of the emo thing. Like, there were so many good bands that were like getting pigeonholed because of that word, and I'm like, well, what does that, you know, what does that really mean? You know, because if you're a crazy hardcore fan, then like, you know, then no use for a name as an emo band. You know,
Right.
but if you're a no use for a name fan, then only saves the day as an emo band, you know. So
Deep thoughts
it's all kind
by
of
Craven
relative.
Moorhead.
Just-
No, but it's true though.
Sorry, just shit I deal with on the internet with people.
No, but it's true.
Punk rock arguments I have with people.
Like, where are the lines? Where are the boundaries? You know, it gets blurred because
I've heard cool, I've heard cool punk in every genre. I've heard shitty punk in every genre. Like, you know, to me, it's songs.
Right.
Give me a song, you know. So.
What do you think the Arizona music scene is missing, or do you think there isn't anything it's missing? What does it need more of? What does it need more of? Anything?
God, I mean, I think it's kind of I think it's pretty rich right now. Like, there's a lot of venues, you know, especially as far as punk goes. There seems to be a lot of places that are doing punk shows. Seems to be a lot of really good bands. I mean, the submissions I get, I'm impressed with. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool right now. Like, I don't know. What would you? I mean, that's probably more of a question for you guys.
Well,
What is it missing?
but
dude?
I don't know if it's missing anything. I don't. I like to see like a little bit more unity. I like to see like keep going with the diverse show lineups that there's so other people can get more versed to maybe.
Let me ask you guys: is there a you know, I used to think this at one point, but I don't know if this is happening more now. I feel like the West Valley and the East Valley bands should probably play more together. Or does that happen
good
more than I
point.
think?
That's a good point because there's a whole other scene that I hadn't even heard about, you know, of different bands that are in Phoenix. Or I definitely think that there's certain bands that play in Tempe and Mesa versus Phoenix. So maybe
I know a lot of that's
crossing.
just where everyone lives and what they
Yeah.
do, and you know, getting out to a show. But I don't know. To me, I
Mix it
think
up
that
a
would be
little.
cool. You know,
Mixing it
I'd
up.
love to see a Playboy Man Baby Venomous Pink show. You know, or,
yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, it seems like there's such a downtown scene, and then you know, I don't know.
Yeah, that's
See?
too many
It's just kind of an
scenes.
outsider's perspective. I don't really.
Yeah, there's a few scenes.
See, I knew there was something.
What
not
do you
that there's anything bad about what's going on in our scene. Just saying, always room for improvement, right?
Totally. But I'd say all in all, it seems, I don't know, seems to be a lot of nationals rolling through that the locals get to open up for, you know, and so.
Tsunami bombs coming through. Who else?
Yeah.
The Descendants are at the Rialto.
That's coming up
Yeah.
Thursday. I'm out. Can't
Yeah,
do
I'm
it.
not going to be able to go.
Work, man.
Pretty bummed about that. Yeah, it's good to see all these bigger, it's now is the time, especially because it's starting to cool down, so people don't feel like death when they come here.
Right.
So this is when the good shows are popping up, which is good.
Yeah, hopefully, I'm always surprised how many bands come here in summer, and that's just because there's summer touring just doesn't, stick to us, I guess, doesn't really cater to Phoenix. That's why you see good bands in the summer. You're like, why the hell are they here? It's like, that's the summer tour, man. That's when it's happening.
And some of them just drop off mysteriously, and then they're right on track with the next day somewhere else, another state. Don't blame them though. Sometimes because it's usually like 110 degrees out.
Yeah, I mean, I would bail on a show here in the middle of the summer.
Yeah.
So are you gonna ask Craven? His favorite.
Oh, that's right.
Come on.
Okay,
I'm waiting for
All
it.
right, so
Wait a second.
Craven, every single
I'm nervous.
episode, I ask them, "What is your favorite burrito?" Are you a fan of a burrito?
Dude, I am. I got one.
I like how he wasn't shocked at that.
No.
It started out as a joke, and now every single episode I have to mention burrito. And so thank you for placating this.
Is it just like a word game where like you have to fit burrito into somewhere during the show?
Yeah. I wasn't expecting it, but we're going with it.
Have people answered like what their favorite burrito is?
Yeah, what is your favorite burrito?
Without a doubt. Nothing is even close. The California burrito at Los Betos on Hayden, right, what is that? It's just a click north of Thomas. It's my favorite place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we fucked that place up. We go to. Yeah. See, well, you know what's funny?
I've been there too.
We used to
good.
just go when we were hungover. It used to be like a joke when we were younger. Like, oh, we're hungover, we're gonna eat at Los Betos. Now I'm like driving the kids to like, what do you want at Betos, kids? Okay, Taco Tuesday. So the breakfast burrito there is bomb too.
So that's your.
Yep.
So if there was a Craven Moorehead burrito, it would be that burrito, right?
Yeah, the California
That's the
burrito
California
is awesome.
that represents you in a burrito.
That's it.
Thank you.
That's my burrito.
All right. Nice.
Just had to throw it in there.
Yeah.
I like the
Dude.
burrito question.
My other question I like to ask sometimes is, if you were a Jelly Belly flavor, what would you be?
I always thought those were kind of nasty. I don't know if I really.
Okay.
My problem with Jelly Bellies is like you grab a handful of Jelly Bellies and throw them in your mouth. Like that's how I like. To me, like red gummy bear and yellow gummy bear, they're kind of the same. I'll chuck them all in my mouth and it's all good. Jelly Bellies, you get like a popcorn one in there with some cherry. And you're like, this is fucking awful. Like, what? Ugh.
Okay. So
That's
no
my problem with Jelly Bellies. That being
Fuck
said,
Jelly Bellies.
yeah, I can't support that Jelly Belly scene at all. That's like folk punk, Jelly Bellies.
What are some of your favorite movies? I just saw Bohemian Rhapsody last night. Oh shit!
I'm dying to see that.
I recommend it.
Excited.
I want to go see
Go see it.
It is good.
He's an incredible Freddie Mercury. He
okay.
did such a great job.
Yeah, I remember seeing the trailer.
He
for
killed
that and
it.
being like, this is going to be cool.
Yeah.
Now I'm starting to see it pop up again. My favorite movie of all time is probably Bad News Bears, first one.
Fuck
the
yeah.
original 70s. That's just always,
Tanner Boyle?
Yeah.
Dude.
Well, just because you could, I mean, it's funny to me. I feel like that movie changed the ratings too. Like, I feel like it was an R-rated movie. Now it's PG.
Yeah.
Which is shocking to me. I would have thought I'd gone the other way. It'd be like, because there's so many like just.
Some of the shit he says in it, like.
Well, I watched it with my 11-year-old. It's like, and then like Kelly Leak is walking around like with a cig in his mouth the whole time. And he's like, they're like the same age. I'm like, oh. It's like, why is that little kid smoking? And I'm like, they just didn't know back then, honey. It's,
Different times, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's smoking the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, there was candy cigarettes was a huge thing back in the day. Candy cigarettes,
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
was definitely a different time.
Hey, Buttermaker pulls up to the first practice, and I think he's got a Budweiser or some just sort of domestic beer. And like before he goes to practice, he takes the beer and he like dumps a whole bunch of whiskey into the beer.
Yeah.
And then just takes a swig. Matt, I just love it. I can go on for days about Bad News Bears. That's a whole nother podcast.
No, it's a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Awesome.
Yeah. Did you like the remake with Billy Bob?
Fuck no, I couldn't
Okay.
even watch it. That's like so sacrilege. That's kind of that whole time. Like it's same as my records. Like I love Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Like all the early '80s, just
Yes.
whatever. Good, And those still kind of hold water for me too. Like I can still watch it and still it'd be funny. Whereas so many movies I used to like that I'll go back and think nostalgia wise, and then they just suck. Like, what was I thinking? I was such a dumb little kid. This is awful.
I think they're playing Fast Times at the movie bar, I guess, or the
Oh, yeah?
Elmo Draft House here in a couple weeks. So
That's a close second to Bad News Bears.
yeah, maybe date night with the wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some Spicoli.
There you go.
Yeah. Hey, bud, life's a party.
I mean, it's just so ingrained in the culture, you know? Like, that was our whole vocabulary for years.
With
was
his
just
vans.
Fast Times fucking
Yes.
quotes constantly.
Yeah, no, it's a good one right there. Oh, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Wars. I'm not, you know, I think Star Trek is super cool. You know, like that's like a next level of that genre thing for me. Or I don't know, is like Battlestar Galactica, is that like even more hardcore?
I'm more
I
of a
never
Star
got
Wars
into that
fan.
one. Yeah.
I'm more of a Star Wars geek.
I just,
Yeah.
you know, I'm just not that sci-fi. Like,
Okay.
you know, I did love Star Wars. I was definitely, you know, somebody who went and saw it multiple times
Yeah.
when it came out. But
What do you think of the new movies that are coming out?
I like them. It's funny because I'll see like the super hardcore like Star Wars people like diss on like Solo,
Right.
and I'm like, man, what are you? Talking?
I thought it was
awesome.
It was great. I'm with you on that.
They want them
It's
to all, and I
crazy.
liked Rogue One, and they'll like, you know, they'll get like, you know, that was such a great one for the Star Wars fans. It was so hardcore, and everyone dies at the end. I'm like,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
what did you love about the first one, Zang? It was like the corniest fucking thing ever. Like
Right.
Luke Skywalker, Princess, like it was like such a goofy tale
Right.
that anyone could have. It was fantastic, but like. I think it's funny to see people be hardcore about it now because I don't know, maybe because of they've made more novels and things that have gotten into deeper, darker
the
subject matter.
actual
Yeah.
storylines. But I
Right.
mean, I just love that
Like
there's
initially, it was just kind of a corny story anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like with a bunch of no-name actors and you know, I don't know. I like them all though.
I do
I'm a fan.
too. And I like how they're including old school like puppetry and not just completely
CGI.
making CGI, you know. But
Yeah.
I like how they're still maintaining some of those extra, you know,
As long
flares
as I don't
there.
see any fucking Ewoks are walking around. I'm
Oh
like,
shit!
Oh, man.
You lose me a Jedi. That's the one I was.
Oh my gosh!
No.
I
That's
love
right,
the
I'm not
Ewoks. Did you know that originally, I guess it was supposed to be that they were supposed to land on a planet full of Wookiees, but they only wanted
That would've been
Chewbacca.
awesome.
No, I did hear
They
that.
only
Yeah.
they only wanted Chewbacca to be the only Wookiee in the Star Wars saga.
And look
So
how
what do
that
you
worked
do?
out.
You cut them off and you
Yeah.
switch some of the names around. Ewok,
Is Wookiee backwards.
So they're
Wookiee
just little
backward.
mini Wookiees.
pretty much.
Makes it a little bit cooler for me.
Yeah. So, what are your favorite movie soundtracks? Do you have any?
We were just listening to the Animal House soundtrack this morning. Actually,
Oh,
at 7
okay.
a.m. at our house.
Nice.
That was the dance party this morning. I don't know though. Yeah, that one I obviously like, but
I feel like they don't make movie soundtracks the way they used to. I remember
yeah,
just it being in the 90s, early 2000s, like the jam. Like, I only had so much money, and so I wanted to get like a soundtrack because it had a lot of hits on there, and it was
Yeah.
the most I could get the bang for my buck. Like the Crow soundtrack, absolutely loved it. Mallrats, those are kind of some of my favorite soundtracks.
those are cool. The Clerks one was pretty cool.
Clerks
I
was
remember
cool,
that. That's
yeah.
probably up there a ways. I'm not a big soundtrack guy. I like just albums from bands. Like I'm not
Yeah.
a huge comp guy. I mean, there's definitely comps I like, but usually I like them because they introduced me to bands that led me to my favorite albums. I've never, you know.
That's pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know soundtracks. That's it. I'm only saying Animal House because we listened to it this morning, but I don't, you know, it's not like I run to go throw that on it either. So
Very cool.
Yeah. Boxers or briefs? I'm just trying to think of our lightning round question.
it's kind of a mixed bag,
Lightning round.
literally.
Oh, we're doing a lightning round?
Yeah.
Okay, we
Okay.
should do. We forgot our. Okay, lightning round and go. How do you take your coffee?
With like the craziest cream in it ever. I'm a total sissy. Like I'm not anywhere near, but like I'm. Well, what is it? I guess just cream, just coffee and cream, but like it's got to be foofy. It's got to be like peppermint mocha something.
Donuts or bagels?
Bagels, and it's not because I don't like donuts. Am I not supposed to add that this is supposed to be like lightning? Like I'm not supposed to explain? Because I'll just keep running my mouth and be like, forget
so
the next
great.
question.
I love it.
Bagels.
Bagels. Okay, that was a tough decision.
Oh man, no effects or bad religion.
You know, no effects definitely when I was younger, but now that I'm getting older, it's more Bad Religion, I think. You know, I'm digging more the later. As Bad Religion gets older, I'm kind of liking their stuff even more. So,
Vans or Converse?
fuck, these are tough. I got Vans on now, although I'm kind of turning into a Puma guy in my old age, going a little bit more Beastie
I rock
Boys.
Pumas, dude. Hell yeah. Fuck
It
it.
used to be Connie's or Vans no matter what. Although I do got these like new old man Vans that are supposed to look like the old school ones. But I don't know. They don't
Or
really
are those
feel
the
right.
ultra range?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, something
The
like
light
that.
ones.
But I think they
Yeah.
put in a bunch of extra shit, and then they didn't make the shoe any bigger. So now I feel like a fucking baked potato stuffed in there. Like I don't know.
Cats or dogs?
There you
Oh,
go.
yeah.
I'm kind of neither. There's a long story. I know it's like such the worst thing to be now. Is like someone who's like not super into pets. Like people are so into their pets now. But that's kind of why I don't like pets. And here's the thing. Oh man, you're hitting good subjects here. So
We're getting deep, bro.
I
We're
like
getting
dogs
deep.
and I like cats, but the problem is I feel like there's so many dog and cat owners now, which means there's so many more shitty dog and cat owners.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how many times I've taken dog shit out of my front yard and like
That
seen people walk
pisses
around. I'm
me
like,
off.
man, you know what? Fuck all these dogs and
Yeah.
fuck all these people. Like I just get bummed. I'm totally that guy. I was looking at signs like there's if you look at it, if you Google it on like how many different like crazy off keep your dog off my yard signs are. There's some funny ones. But I like dogs and I really do. And but my kids hate me because they want dogs and I'm like I can't deal with that right now. And I hate our neighbors' dogs because they just fucking.
You could take them volunteering to
Dogs over cats, though. I guess to answer your question, I do. There's something about dogs. I kind of like the independence of cats.
Nice.
Like that's kind of cool. But if I were gonna go buy something, I would go buy a dog.
There's certain volunteer opportunities where they just need people to like pet dogs or pet cats. You take your kids to do that, but then they may want you to
They
take
do
one
say
home.
there's a bunch of
Yeah.
benefits like mental health
Yeah.
benefits to having pets.
That way they can get their cuddles on, but then you could just go home without a pet. I mean, that's
kind
an
of like
option.
that. You're kind of like the crazy uncle just visiting type of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All
Yeah,
right.
I mean, that's a possibility.
Tony Hawk or Christian Hosoi?
Oh shit.
Christian Hosoi only because I interviewed him before and he was really cool. I read his book and then we did a big book interview thing with him and he was cool. I'm sure Tony's pretty cool too, but I got that's what's tilting the scale, I guess.
Atari or Nintendo?
You know, Atari really kind of sucked. It did. I mean, the Atari was the raddest thing when it came out,
cool.
and I remember when it came out. But yeah, I mean, you could actually sit down and have fun and play on Nintendo right now, where I think Atari you'd be done with in like 5 minutes. Like, you know, how much Missile Command and fake asteroids and fake Pac-Man can you play that doesn't look like the real shit anyway? You know?
For real. All right, choose your weapon. Vinyl, digital, or CD? Or tape?
Not tape. I think it's funny that tapes are coming back out. I was just never a huge fan of that format anyway. Like, not only were the tapes shitty, but the tape players were always shitty. Like, stuff was just always going wrong.
Eating your tape.
You're like, why
fuck.
is this a thing?
I've definitely gotten back into vinyl. Like, I'm doing a lot. And I swore it off because going back to when I moved out from Ohio, I had tons of great vinyl, and I sold it all because I didn't want to cart it out. And A, that was heartbreaking. B, I'd already moved it from like 35 different rentals, being young and dumb and getting kicked out of places and whatever. So I was just over it. But yeah, that's what I do now. I go back and buy it because I think it's sad. 'Cause I think it's all going away, honestly. Other than vinyl, because there seems to be a resurgence of that. But like CDs have certainly declined, and I think I saw like Apple Music was talking about just streaming now. Like you can't even buy the download.
Right.
Like because they're like we're not making money on these downloads enough anyway. And they're like we'll just do that streaming service. So they're trying to push everyone. It sounds like that to Apple Music. You know, I don't know. It was some shit I read a couple months ago. Could be true or not, but kind of makes sense.
Yeah, any more? Those
mean-
were good.
Those are good. I think that was a good speed round.
All right. Do I get to pick another song though?
Yes. Yes, you do.
Wait. Are there any like caveats to this one? The last one had to be my something that meant something to me.
No, just what would you like to see us out with?
Oh, you know what? We were talking before about bands that I'm really into now, and I didn't really have a great answer there. So I'm gonna go. I love the Bronx. The Bronx is like, I've got the shirt on. I gotta think of it. I got the fucking shirt on. What a douchebag. So yeah, I love the Bronx. I absolutely love them. And their new record is awesome, and they're all awesome. And Sore Throat. Can you play Sore Throat from the Bronx?
Hell yeah.
There you go.
Why don't you introduce it again?
Here it is. Sore Throat from the Bronx on Sound Sisters. Hey, guys, thank you so much for having me. This was super cool. A lot of fun.
Thank you. Thank you again for all that you do for our scene.
Thank you for being you.
Aw. You guys are adorable.
#.
Thank you, Craven Moorehead, for coming into the studio. It was great talking to him. Make sure you follow him on the social medias, on the Facebook. Go over to 98 KUPD and follow the Ska Punk Show. One of the cool things about that is Craven will actually post on Facebook, what do you want to hear? And he's really good about playing the listener songs. So definitely go and follow that and subscribe. And check out his show Sunday nights from 7 to 9 on 98 KUPD. Again, he's playing all your favorite punk rock hits, and he's going to play local, which is cool. I know he's played our band, and he's a huge supporter of the Pinks, and we really appreciate that. Remember to head over to the website, soundsistersaz.com, to view and listen to the previous podcasts we have up there. We also have Angela's Photography. We just posted a Surf City Blitz show review, so go ahead and head over to the website and check that out. Make sure you go to Facebook and like us, Instagram and follow us at Sound Sisters AZ. Want to listen to us in an app? Check us out on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and always you can go to our website and listen directly to the podcast there. Again, we want to thank you guys for all your support. It really does mean everything to us, truly, for all the constant, positive feedback we're getting lately. Again, without our listeners, this wouldn't be possible, and
We love you.
I really do appreciate everybody that's just been so supportive of this crazy adventure.
3 crazy ladies with 3 crazy mics.
Pretty much. On that note, this is your host, Doll, signing off with my lovely ladies, reminding you to keep your eyes on the prize and always do your best. Thank you, and good night.
Bye.